What if burnout isn't a modern plague, but an ancient ache? What if the Bible captured our exhaustion long before the first punch clock or productivity app? What if a man with gold-drenched halls, endless vineyards, and the wisdom of heaven himself once whispered your 3 a.m. thoughts? Why do I feel so empty? This is the story of King Solomon, but it is also the story of us. Solomon, the man gifted with divine wisdom, the man who asked not for riches or revenge, but understanding. And God granted it. He became a king whose fame reached across oceans, whose wealth made emperors weep. He built the temple of God. Then he built more: palaces, gardens, terraces, fortresses, reservoirs to catch rain from heaven, roads paved with tribute from foreign kings, a kingdom bursting with splendor, a man crowned with glory. And yet, beneath all the marble and incense, he was tired. Not from work, but from meaninglessness. He picked up his pen, and in a rare moment of royal vulnerability he wrote, "Meaningless. Meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Not a prophet, not a peasant, a king, not from despair, but from clarity." He wasn't just exhausted, he was existentially spent. He had reached the top and found it hollow. The scroll he wrote would one day be called Ecclesiastes. It is the Bible's most haunting book, not because it lacks hope, but because it mirrors our world too perfectly. Listen, I saw that all toil and achievement spring from one person's envy of another. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Solomon had no smartphone, no lights, no resumes to polish, but he saw the treadmill. He saw what we now call involution, the rat race where we run, not to reach something, but to avoid falling behind, where students battle for perfect scores, not for knowledge, but for rankings, where employees outpace each other in overtime, not for passion, but for fear, where rest feels like weakness, where burnout isn't a risk, it's the cost of staying afloat. Solomon saw it coming, and he grieved. Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. This is not a condemnation of work. The Bible honors labor, the carpenter, the shepherd, the sower. But Solomon warns us, when work becomes your worth, your soul becomes collateral. You become addicted to motion, addicted to noise, afraid of stillness. You scroll before bed and wake up tired. You answer emails during meals. You count steps, calories, likes, yet still feel unseen. And when someone asks, "When were you last truly joyful?" you pause, you forget. Solomon was no minimalist. He was surrounded by opulence, but he began to see, the more he accumulated, the more it cost him. Not gold, but peace, not power, but clarity, not success, but soul. He wrote, "There is a time for everything, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to be silent and a time to speak." Today, we've collapsed all seasons into one: produce, performance, perfect, repeat. Even rest is monetized. Even stillness must prove its productivity. We've lost the rhythm of the sacred. We no longer know what enough feels like. But Solomon did. He writes of a Sabbath not as legalism, but as liberation. Of silence, not as emptiness, but as alignment. He invites us to take our handful, not clutching two, not grasping air, but holding just what nourishes. One handful of meaning, one handful of purpose, one handful of breath. He writes, "Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, before the silver cord is severed and the golden bowl is broken." Poetry, mortality, urgency. Solomon is not yelling. He is whispering, not condemning, but warning. You will not outrun the wind. You cannot hustle your way into peace. So what does the Bible say to our burnout? It says, you were never meant to carry it all. It says, your worth is not your output. It says, rest is holy. It says, the fear of missing out is not the fear of God. It says, trust is greater than toil. And when you've forgotten your way, when your calendar is full but your spirit is empty, Ecclesiastes hands you a mirror, not to shame you, but to free you, to remind you that even the wisest man, even the richest king, even the most accomplished soul, felt what you feel. And he did not hide it. He wrote it down, so you could feel less alone. So what is your handful? A quiet breakfast with no screens, a walk beneath trees that do not rush, a job done well, not because it's praised, but because it's yours, a Sabbath kept, not out of fear, but delight. Maybe you don't need to climb higher. Maybe you just need to come home, to stillness, to soul, to the God who says, be still and know that I am God. Not hustle harder, not be everything, not fix it all, just be still. And that stillness, maybe that's where the healing begins.